Katie, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, lovely. So I'll share my screen now, if that's okay, and then we can get started. Ooh. So hopefully you can see my screen in just a second. Ooh. There we go. Is that all okay? Can we see my screen okay? Thumbs up from someone? Lovely. Good job. I'm Katie. Thank you for joining today. And we're going to look at maximising teacher language. I hope you were able to watch the pre-webinar task as well video. If not, don't worry, you can still answer in the chat as well. So let's look at what we're going to explore. Let's explore what we mean by teacher language and why it matters. Focus on 4 key areas, which I also mentioned in the video before. Share our ideas and thoughts, and this is super important. I really want you to be as active as possible as well in the chat box, so you can see what each other think and so on. And we'll also look at some practical ideas and suggestions of how we can apply these to our practice, and also hopefully have a bit of fun together. So let's get started. And we'll start by the teacher language first question that I asked you, which was, what is your definition of teacher language and how important is it? So if I can ask you now to go to the chat box and share what you think. What we say to students, lovely. Yes, classroom language as well. Any more suggestions? What is it and how important is it? Okay, lovely. Henda says instructions. Fiona says classroom language, lovely. A way to communicate, Yasmin, yes. How we communicate, explanations as well. Asking the right questions, lovely. And it's very important, says one person. Okay, lovely. How one speaks, clarity, good. Lots and lots of different answers. Teacher talking time as well. Communication. And very important, says Sagia, lovely, excellent. Okay, and instructions. Perfect. Yes, so I think we're all pretty much on the same page with this. So as you rightly said, really, teacher language is what we say and how we say it. As you said, communication. And for me as well, I feel it's a really fundamental tool for teaching and learning. So in many ways, it's the basis for our classroom interaction and creating the right learning environment. I'm going to have a quick look because there's lots of, yes, motivation and learning. Excellent. Good job. Perfect. So before we move on, that we're clear in our minds as well of what we actually mean by it. Okay, let's have a look then. The next thing I asked you to do in the video was think back to your last lessons and what did you actually say to your learners? And to write down some concrete examples and to see if you can identify any functional purpose of what you said. So once again, this is where the fastest typers. Let's see, were you able to do that then? Any concrete examples of what you said in class, let's share. And if you feel there is any, be quiet, says Mohammed, yes, lovely. Any functional purpose. So what would be the functional purpose, do you feel? Be quiet, let's have some more. Okay, instructions as well. Says Svetlana, lovely. Okay, great work. Good job. Share your thoughts. Remember to get ready for the final exam. I like that one. Okay, so watch your video. Lots of instructional language. Clever is a great word. It's what you are. Nice. Please focus. Okay, lovely. Good. What do you think about? Fantastic. Good morning. Yes, as a greeting. Yes, lovely. It's okay to try. That's a nice one, Rasha. Thank you. Thanks for your genuine collaborative work. Fantastic. Are you enjoying the class? Okay, good. Mute and be cute. Okay, please do your homework. Ooh. Yes, Fatima. Good. Eyes on me. Excellent. So we've got lots and lots of examples here of the things that we concretely say, often many times in the class, or certainly, yes, repeatedly. Great. You've done well today. Lovely. Okay, is that clear? So that's a form of feedback. Okay, lovely. Let's have a look then and see if you can identify from what you also wrote down these 4 functional areas. So we have classroom management, and we had some examples of those in the chat as well. And this is often our routines or our daily interactions with our learners. Another area is introducing new language and concepts. And here we do quite a lot, actually. We're going to break this down a bit more in a while, where we're conveying meaning, we're presenting the new language, perhaps eliciting as well, explaining, narrating, and concept checking. The next area is our instructions, which people also mentioned in the chat. So instructing a task or specific activity set up, including some ICQs or some instruction checking questions. And then the final one, which somebody also mentioned, was feedback. So where we're maybe correcting, prompting, and also hopefully motivating our learners with what we say. Great. Okay, so let's move on to the first area then, which is our classroom management area. And I asked you as well in the video to decide whether you agree or disagree with these areas or these statements about routines. So maybe you can give me a yes, no, if you yes, if you agree, or no, if you disagree in the chat box. Let's share. So the first one was this: routines help to direct learners' attention. What do we think? Yes or no? Yes, yes, we've got big yeses everywhere. Lovely, fantastic. Okay, great. So there is an element of directing learners' attention. Let's have a look at the second one, which was attention is understood to be an essential prerequisite for learning. So it's essential in order to get learning. What do we think about that one? Ooh, we've got yeses again. Yes, big yeses, lovely. Fantastic. Okay, the last one's a bit longer. So here we go. Routines are most effectively formed and maintained when they are simple, clear, and have a very easy first action for learners to uptake. And I think the key here as well is it talks about they need to be explicitly taught and rehearsed. What do we feel about that? Of course, we've got yes, yes, and the thumbs up. Okay, great. Lovely. So we'll all sort of feel that they are important for us and they can have this function. Sure, lovely. So in summary then, really, why we have routines in our classes is to get learners' attention, save us time as well, because it directs the traffic in our class. And it also, I believe, offers safety and security for our learners because they know what's expected. But there is an and. So what do you think? So it does these things, but what else does it do as well? There's one big area as well. What do you think? What would you add to that? If anyone has any suggestions in the chat box, what do you think? It does this and... Okay, motivates, lovely, yes. Says Hender, any more? Okay, energizing, discipline, modeling. Okay, lovely. Avoiding distractions, good. Okay, and the teacher will concentrate more. Yes, inspire and impact, lovely. Management, investigate, focus, good. I'm still looking for the one. I've got a different one. Avoids anxiety, ensures efficiency, definitely. Makes them attentive, good, perfect. Confidence. Okay, so this is the one I have in mind. See what you think. For me, I feel that your routines can also be a really great language opportunity. So it does all of those things and the things you've also said in the chat box, but it's a really great opportunity for language as well, exposure and input. But the big question is really how? Let's find out together then how we can use our routines to really also maximize language. Okay, so here's how. Now we're going to start off by looking and analyzing a little bit of song and a chant. So I'm going to sing, I'm sorry, in advance. And you're going to sing wherever you are at home, you're going to sing back. Here we go. So the first line is done by the teacher and the second line is then done by the students. Are you ready? I want to know how you're today. She wants to know how we're today. I'm feeling good and ready to play. She's feeling good and ready to play. How are you? Let's show and share. Feeling funny like a teddy bear. How are you? Let's show and share. Feeling happy, hands in the air. How are you? Let's show and share. Feeling tired. Where's my chair? There we go. I apologize for my singing. Okay, let's break that down then a little bit. And think about, in this, what do you feel is the transferable language? So what language from this song at the beginning would help me and my learners in class? Let's see, what do we think? Any suggestions of what you would, thanks. I've been called many things, a lovely singer, not often. Okay, rhyming words, nice. Okay, yes, we've got subject pronouns, yeah. The rhyming words as well, good, yeah. Okay, feelings, contractions, yes, lovely. And the sounds, good, yes. Yes, we've got some emotions as well. Lovely, we've got some verbs, yes, good. Okay, so here are the things why I use this in classes, because it gives initial exposure to my learners for that I'm saying I want to know, they're switching to she wants to know. I'm saying I'm feeling, she's feeling. Also, a useful one is the let's. Another one is like because often for my learners in class, they often want to tell me something is similar to or like a. Then hands in the air is always useful. And the last one then for me, which is useful, is the where's my, because that happens a lot. That where is my pencil, where is my book? So it's a really good way, I feel, to maximize my language and use it as part of a routine and to really transfer and expose my learners to more language. Lovely. Okay, let's have a look at another one. This one is more of a chant, which I tend to use at the beginning of class, actually. Shall we try together? So you can do this at home, wherever you are. Ready? On your head, on your desk, behind you, next to you, in between, in front. So with my classes, we do this all together, standing up. Then we go round in a circle, we go backwards, we do different emotions at the beginning of class. So what do you think? What do you think is the transferability here? Prepositions, lovely. Yes, 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 everyone, ding dong. Good job. Yeah, I have to say I do this at the beginning with all my classes, especially at the beginning of the year, because the number of times I need this for my management is to be able to go, okay, stand in front, stand next to each other, or somebody is going, where's my pencil? And usually it's behind you or in front of you. So this is a really easy way to make my language count in part of the routine. I hope that's okay. Lovely. Okay, then last one, where at the end of class, we have this. I don't know if you're familiar with this song. Again, you can try and sing along if you want, in order to also keep them packing up. So, do we pack up? Yes, we pack up. Do we clean up? Yes, we clean up. We do something. We all do something. And so we go on. Any transferability here, do you feel? Let's see what you think. Do, lovely. Yeah, yeah, yes. Yeah, absolutely. We've got the pack up, clean up. So there's phrasal verbs, and that do, that is then normalized right from the beginning. Yeah, and the short responses, exactly, yes. So I find that really useful to use right from the beginning without needing over teaching. Lovely, good. Okay, so that's how we can use then in our routines at the beginning, our language more usefully, perhaps. Okay, we're going to move on now because we've got quite a bit to cover, our 4 areas. Let's move on to our second area, which is introducing new language and concepts. So in the video, again, I asked you to think about or answer, do you plan what you will do? So when you are thinking, oh, I've got a new topic, new vocabulary, do you plan what you will do? Let's share. So let's have a quick, yes, I do. Of course. Yes. Good, Yasmin. Yes, yes. Everybody's got, yes. Okay, definitely. Absolutely. And that's usually a given, isn't it, for us, that we've got the new topic, the new language, and we plan it. And our planning may look a little bit like this, that we have a presenting phase where we present the new language. We might include, we're going to break this down, an eliciting phase. We want to convey the meaning to our learners. And we want to check the meaning using concept checking questions. And we may want to prompt a little bit as well. So those are all the aspects that we may do when we're introducing new language. So my next question in the video was as well, so do you plan what you will say? Everyone said yes, yes, they plan what they do, but do you plan what you will say? Yes, okay, lovely. Yes, 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 okay. Depends, okay. Sometimes, depending on the time, yes. I think the time is a really good and fair factor, actually. So sometimes, okay, great. So mixed, mostly we do, sometimes we do, not so much. Okay, let's break it down a little bit then. What do we actually mean by these different phases and stages? And see. So we said we begin with presenting, which is where we're trying to create interest and engagement in the new vocabulary or the new concept. Then eliciting, where we're really getting targeted questions to get learners to tell you what they already know. So we're using targeted questions about the word or the concept to see what do they know about it themselves. Then we need to have some sort of conveying of the meaning. So this is where we express or communicate an aspect of the meaning to really cement their understanding so that it's clear for them. Which we then follow up with some checking the meaning. So these again are our targeted questions that demonstrate that learners understand as well, or are clear. We may also prompt. So this really depends on what you're doing a little bit. This is to help learners to remember an associated word or an associated idea, which also helps with retention of the concept or the language. So this is quite a lot, really, which we can do to support our learners in their understanding. So I feel this kind of needs and maybe deserves a little bit of planning as well. Yes, you have to with your lesson plan. Okay, well, let's see what does that practically, what does that look like? Shall we give it a try together? Okay, so you're going to see, answer me in the chat box, what can you see? So tell me in the chat box, what can you see? Shapes, lovely. A car, excellent. And shapes, yes, great. A car, anything else? Ooh, a puzzle. A street, fantastic. A car in a street, excellent, good job. An avenue. Okay, what about now? What can you see? Ooh, a building, a house, lovely. Ooh, somebody said a hospital, maybe. Great, across, yes, lovely. Part of a hospital, ooh, yes, okay, fantastic. Absolutely, yes. Here we are. It's a hospital, good job, well done, everyone. So tell me, who works in a hospital? Who works in a hospital? A doctor, lovely, good, yes. Excellent. Yes, nurses, yes. With this one, I've often had a few students going, my mum. Lovely, good. A cleaner, Ooh, lots of answers, great. Okay, hospitals help people. Achoo! Do I need to go to hospital? What do you think? Tell me, do I need to go to hospital? No, okay, good, yes. Lovely. So does a nurse work in a hospital? Yes, lovely, good job. Yes, the clinic will do, thank you, yes. Good, perfect. Thank you. Somebody's bless you, lovely. Okay. Let's break that down then of what I said and what I didn't say and see if we can identify those different stages as well. So the first one was, what can you see? I didn't say, what's this? So the first one, the stage was, I'm trying to get their interest So that is really that first presentation stage where I'm getting their interest, and I had the shapes in front of it, so you can't see exactly, so you're guessing. And you're engaged and trying to see, what is it? Is it a car? Is it an avenue? And then reveal a different part of the picture. If I just show the picture and say, what is it? Either you know the answer or you don't. If you don't, interest gone. Next, I asked you, who works in hospital? Instead of saying, what is a hospital? So by asking who works in a hospital, I'm trying to elicit from you your existing knowledge of a hospital. The question of what is a hospital is very difficult to answer, actually. So it's much better to have a targeted eliciting question. Next, I said, okay, hospitals help people. So that's me communicating a little bit of the meaning to you, instead of saying hospital do lots of things, although that's true. And then finally, the last two, where I had the HACHU, do I need to go to hospital? Does a nurse work in a hospital? Those were my two concept checking questions, instead of saying, is that clear? We say, is that clear? And everyone goes, yes, yes, teacher. Whereas really we need much more targeted questions to check the meaning. Yes, absolutely. So the concept checking questions, as Chiara's saying in the chat box as well. Yes, lovely. Yes and no questions, exactly. So keep your questions in a way which are answerable. They can answer them and you're still checking. Good job, perfect. So we like this one. This one, perfect. Good. Okay. So that was our second part then of the checking, introducing the language. Let's have a quick look at the next one, which is our third one, which is our instructions. So I asked you as well to tell or to share, why do instructions matter? Let's have a look. So please share in the chat box, what do you think? Why do instructions matter? Let's share, see what you think. Okay, to give idea, okay, gives a clear direction, yeah, absolutely. To achieve the outcome, to guide, for clarity, yes, absolutely. Yeah, students should know what to do, absolutely, yes. Student success, yes. Better managing the class, perfect, yes. Yes, we've got the roadmaps, they know what to do, manage the rules and save time, absolutely. And so that children do it with interest, perfect, yes. Avoiding confusion, great. So in the video, I shared with you some reactions from colleagues that I work with that they felt were the challenges of giving instructions. Let's have a quick look at them again. One person said they don't understand. So you're giving your instruction for an activity setup and they don't understand. Another person said that they had to re-instruct many times. So when they've given the instructions, then they have to go to the little groups or pairs and give the instructions again. Somebody else said, my learners are impatient and just want to start. So the teacher's still giving the instructions and they're like, yes, yes, come on, come on. And somebody else said, I avoid long and complicated tasks because it's too difficult to explain. So in the video, I asked you to give some advice. What would you suggest that they could do with this? How could they make their instructions or avoid this? So let's share some advice. What would you say to these teachers? What advice would you give to improve their instructions? Short and clear, lovely, yes, clear instructions, good. Okay, step by step, nice one, yes, one by one. Okay, instructions before grouping, yes. Keep it short and simple, yes, Mary. Use body language, lovely, yes. Repeat the keywords, good job. Use gestures, good, yes. No jargon and simple, yeah. Check understanding, lovely. Ask questions and simplify body language, good, fantastic. Okay, give an example as well. That's a good one. Model as well. Yeah, lovely. Intonation. Yes, I like that. So be clear and show a sample if possible and give attention. Okay, perfect. Lovely. Okay, we're going to have a look at an example together now, actually, quickly, of one I heard in class. And you can tell me what you think. So here is an example. Here is an example activity from a teacher. They made this as a worksheet. Sorry, it didn't translate great onto screen. And they didn't mind. This is what they actually said. So I'm going to share the instruction they gave for this. So this activity, they'd done some grammar work before, using then the past continuous and past simple. And then they wanted them to do this practice activity. So here we go. This is what the teacher said. They said, okay, so you're going to write 3 sentences. You will take a picture, you'll match it with a phrase and write the sentence. The sentence needs to be grammatically good. And then they said, is that clear? Now, what do you think is the problem here? Do you think that went well, or what do you think? How do you think the learners reacted to this instruction? Not so clear. Yeah, no, okay. Yes, a bit complicated, yes. Yes, absolutely. The students just all go, yes, yes, clear, teacher. It sounds a bit rude as well. Yeah. It needs clarity. It's quite long. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Many instructions, a lot of language is happening, actually, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. They need more guidance. Absolutely. Yeah, I know. I like that. It needs to be grammatically good. Because you don't have the instruction. If it needs to be grammatically bad. Yes, yes, bless them. Yes. And you're right. I mean, that is kind of what happened. Basically, in class, the reaction from the students was a bit like this. They didn't understand, actually. They didn't know what to do. And in order for the task to actually happen, the teacher had to go around and re-instruct a lot. So there was quite a lot of frustration as well from the students as well. Yeah, there's no modeling as well. So I worked together with this teacher as well then on how can we redo this? Let's re-script what you're going to say. And this is what we came up with. So see what you think. So the first one, we're going to break it down. So look at the pictures. First, just look at the pictures and tell me, what can you see? So we asked the class, what can you see? Cooking, watching TV, swimming, gardening. Okay. I need to ask them this because if they're going to write the sentences, I need to make sure that they have the vocabulary from the pictures. Next then, okay, now let's look at the phrases. So here are the phrases. And then we can ask them, okay, can you show me? So show me started to rain. And then everyone's going, show me fell over. And everyone's going, ah. Because I want to make sure that they understand those phrases. Otherwise, again, they can't actually do the activity. So those were the first 2 steps. Then we ask them, okay, so now choose 3 pictures and 3 phrases. I need to check with them as well. We did this before, so they knew the grammar, but I want to check the grammar. What words do you need? So do you need I am or I was gardening? Do you need when or do you need what? And everyone said, I was. When? Okay, lovely. Now match them and write 3 sentences. And then we can check as well. So this is what we did for checking. Okay, so I asked them, choose, and everyone says 3 sentences and 3 phrases. Lovely. So choose, 3 pictures and 3 phrases. How many sentences? 3. I was or I am? Because or when? And they said, I was, when? And it's at that point, lovely. At that point, they could then, I could check the instruction and we could also give an example or ask for an example. So we could really break it down to its simplest form and get it on with it quickly, because often that's what happens, that they're impatient to get going. Okay, so with our instructions then, as you mentioned as well yourself, let's break it down a little bit of some key things. The first one, most obviously, is they need to be given when everyone's listening. So it's no good if half the room is still somewhere else, then wait and give when everyone's listening. And as we said at the beginning as well, so they need to be in accessible language. So the language needs to be something that they can access and can understand. So imperatives work best. Choose 3 pictures, choose 3 phrases, match the pictures. And the same way as you said as well, they need to be sequential. So give them in the sequence that you want them to actually do. Yes, I was frying when I burnt my hand in the chat box. Yes, absolutely. Good job. Perfect example. The other key thing is that they need to be given in a here and now sense. The original example we looked at, they were saying, we are going to blah, blah, blah. It's not we're going to, we're doing it now. So let's choose 3. Let's choose 3 pictures, 3, so on. And then the other thing which is important is that it needs to include physical congruence. Now, you said it as well, which is absolutely the same. So include body language as well. Back up what you're saying with your body. Choose 3. Or if you want them to work in pairs, work in a group together. So really use your body as well to back up what you're saying. And then finally, they should also be checked. And I think somebody said this as well, that keep it like KISS, keep it short and simple is the other thing. How do we feel about that? Yeah, absolutely. So work step by step through them as well. Lovely. I'm just having a quick look back through the chat as well to see if I missed anything. Yes, and modeling first, maybe with another one as well. Perfect, good. Okay. Yeah, and the repetition of it as well, I think is important, that if you're asking them how many, it's clear for everyone. Even sometimes they go, yes, teacher, 3 sentences. It's okay, because at least you know they're on task. And we've got a question from, so you're asking questions that facilitate learner exploration and growth. Absolutely. They do the work, not me. So I'm asking them to really and demonstrate that they understand. Yeah, so that I can really see. So it's like a flow chart of a series of instructions really broken down. Yeah, fantastic. Okay. So that was our 3rd area. I feel like I've rattled on rather quickly, sorry. Which brings us to our 4th area, which is our feedback. Now, in the video, we wanted to explore a little bit about what do we mean by what and why we want from feedback. And I asked you to complete these sentences. So let's do that together. Feedback is, and we give feedback because. So what do you think? So we're talking about feedback on, maybe it could be written work, but also orally in class on activities. So what do we think? Feedback is, and we give feedback because. Let's see what you think. Okay, so feedback can be implicit and explicit. Okay, as a way of review, lovely. Okay, corrective, clear and helpful observation. So making learning visible as well. Yeah, lovely. It's a reality and a review. Good, reinforces, showing results. Lovely. Also to correct mistakes or work with their mistakes. Yes, lovely. What's to show what they got out of it? Okay, to check as well whether they understand. Okay, nice. Appreciation, affirmation as well. To see also how they could improve. Lovely. To get information. Okay, develop self-confidence, good attitude to learning as well. Lovely. Good. Summative also as well. Yeah, to help them improve. Fantastic. So the response we get from learners as well. Yeah. To have a review overall. Great. Lovely. I want to share this quote with you as well, and you can tell me what you think about this. So teaching less and providing more quality feedback can produce greater learning. What do you think about that? Would you agree, disagree, maybe? Exactly. Okay, lovely. Couldn't agree more. Great. Lovely. It's an interesting one, actually. When I saw this, I thought it kind of can make you shift how you see your role as well. I think often as teachers, we think we've got to always be teaching. And our feedback is also then part of our teacher language, which helps to motivate our students. Lovely. Okay, so let's break this down and have a little bit of a look at what we know that the role feedback can play as well, can have. So let's have a quick read. Quick read of that one. So here we're saying that feedback is crucial for improving not only knowledge acquisition, so it is part of them acquiring the knowledge, but also learner motivation and satisfaction. So there's a part of it which is, yes, we're helping them with their knowledge, but really also it plays a huge factor in motivation and satisfaction. Yes, like Marwa is saying, teach less, learn more. Lovely, I like that. Perfect. Okay, and also, and I found this quite interesting actually in terms of the purpose of what feedback is to help learners adjust their thinking and their behavior to produce improved learning outcomes. And here we don't mean behavior in sort of the classroom management way, but maybe the way that they approach an activity. So it's really about giving that feedback which allows them to make an adjustment, and that therefore improves their learning outcome. So I thought that was quite interesting, actually. But practically then, what could that look like? Let's have a look. So practically, here are some suggestions to consider. And somebody already mentioned this, actually, or one aspect of it. And I try to use this not only in written, although I do use it with written tasks as well, but also to really focus in on speaking activities or whole class feedback, where there is an initial starting phase or at some point where you have an appreciation. And somebody said that in the chat, actually, where we need to acknowledge the time and the effort that our students made to complete the task, if it's a written task or an activity, a group work activity. So we really acknowledge that time and effort as well, because it does take time and it is an effort. So we should show our appreciation. There needs to be an evaluative element as well, which is really knowing where they are now on this task that they just completed. That could be a mark, it could be a grade, it doesn't have to be, but it's also an evaluation of how they completed this task. And then finally as well, a coaching element. So this is really where we have the opportunity for input, which shows that what's the path forward. So next time around, you can do this and this specifically. So what do we feel about that? Is that something that you do currently, something you would like to do? Is there something that you're doing at the moment or you could incorporate? I'm just waiting to see if anyone in the chat. Okay, feedback is vital. Yes. Okay. Okay, always do, would like to do. The reason why I feel this is quite an important aspect of our teacher language, actually, is that what we tend to do, and I guess this is my sort of point really, is above all of this, what's super, super important, and perhaps the most important for me on one level, is really content response. Often as teachers, what we do, and I don't know, maybe that's just me, but as teachers, often we're trained to really listen, especially as language teachers, for what they're saying, or rather how they're saying it, not what. So as teachers, we're there listening with our teacher ears for grammar mistakes or the wrong vocabulary. So we're always really focused on the how and a little bit less focused on the what. So I think what I find really important about this part of our teacher language is to really pay attention to what are they saying? What are they telling me? And by doing that, I think we can really also work towards motivating them much more to speak more or to write more and to participate more. That is what I feel about that. So I have rattled through rather quickly, and we're sort of at the point, yeah, exactly what's in their mind. Absolutely, I agree. And sometimes try and forget less on the, wrong tense, but more you've actually said something really interesting. So I can still use my language to help them in terms of my correction, but I can also really focus on what they've said and show lots of appreciation for that. So as a quick sort of summary, and then we've got lots of time actually for any questions, answers, or anything you'd like to go back over. I feel when it comes to our teacher language, what we can do is, and what we should do really, is really think about and plan what we say. So not only what we're going to do, but really give thought to what we're going to say, in what way, at what points in our lesson. Because we kind of can be more aware of our own language. I think often we're very aware of theirs, rightly, but we can also perhaps give some thought more to our own. And I think we can really make our language count. So even with the examples of the songs, we can really make what we are saying be a part of their overall learning experience and language input. So we can ask questions in the right way and at the right time to really positively influence teaching and learning in general, is what I feel. Yes. So I think we're at that point, if that's okay. Paul, are you there? Where we can share some thoughts, feelings, and comments or questions. Shall I do those from the Q&A? Or...
yeah, can do. Yeah, let's have a look. I've got a few come in from Facebook as well. So
okay.
And I can see some questions are starting to appear. Almudena, there's a question there from you in the chat. Do you want to stick it in the Q&A? I'm now saying these things and thinking about my language. I'm kind of wondering whether I'm saying that in the right way. Stick it in the Q&A. It's probably not the best way to say it, is it? Would you like? How should I say that, Katie? How would you say? Do you want to stick it in the Q&A for a question?
Yes. Perhaps it would be good in the Q&A.
Yes. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Do you want to come and be a consultant for our future webinar?
No. Yes.
No. All right.
Far too scary, Paul.
All right. Okay. Okay, just having a quick look. Yeah, they're still in the chat, some of them. See, now this is the problem with the chat, is that they disappear. Singing work.
I think, yes, there's a couple I've seen which are like addressing it with also older or adult learners, I think as well, which is really interesting, actually. There is a difference, obviously, with your adult learners, I think, where, I mean, I don't know, actually, to be honest with you, I have taught adults as well, and I have done a bit of singing at the beginning, and it's surprising how actually it's okay, because for a lot of, it takes the anxiety out, actually, for a lot of learners, even at any age. It gives a practice opportunity, and it does still give language exposure. I think you maybe need to adjust the type of song, but there's nothing wrong with using a routine or a type of song at the beginning, which also serves as language transfer, even in an adult classroom. I mean, I think with teens, what I've done is gone, okay, here's a song that I use with the primaries. What do you think about it? And they've gone, oh, teacher, so it's so babyish. And I've gone, okay, well, you make it different. So
Mm-hmm.
here are the words that I want to include. Why don't you make a rap or something more cool? I'm too old to be cool. So I let them do it. And we came up with some really nice ideas actually as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, it is sort of tapping into that age group. I used to have a group of proficiency students at 7 o'clock in the morning in Budapest. And we used to kind of, it wasn't singing, but we used to kind of go through a routine of star jumps and various kind of exercises, giving instructions. And then, you know, each week someone would come up with a sort of a routine, an exercise routine, just to kind of, I think, just to wake people up, especially with secondary as well, that kind of need to kind of, you know, energize them a little bit if they've come from school or whatever. That it's quite effective, or it can be quite effective. But yeah, okay, no, thank you, interesting. There's
one I've just seen, if I can just answer it quickly, of like, please. How can you get those songs? So the thing is, I think there's lots of excellent songs out there in the World Wide Web and all that. But I often found that what I want specifically, I often have quite clear ideas of what I want my learners to be able to be exposed to. So I actually write my own. And the fact is, everybody can. Everyone goes, oh my gosh, no, but you absolutely can. If you just pick a tune, put the words in the way that you want. I think a very simple tune, like we did the sort of that army chant thing, you can really add the words that you want for your learners in your context, so you can make your own, is what I feel. Okay.
What about using songs in their own language and kind of getting them to translate them into English? I don't know, not translate them into English, but use the tune from their own kind of culture or whatever, and put in the English words to that, because we tend to sort of go for sort of traditional, I don't know, typical sort of English speaking songs, I suppose, but actually it might be a reference to get them to, okay, a Spanish song or a whatever song, or I don't know. So I'm just thinking out loud.
No, for sure. And I worked on a project in Vietnam, and they did exactly that. So we had a thing where I was like, okay, we'll use some songs, and they took a tune which was familiar. It was a traditional or well-known Vietnamese children's song, and then they added the English on top of it. So absolutely, that works 100%.
Okay, yes. Interesting. Thanks. Okay, it's an interesting question, and it's sort of one that comes up quite a lot around most of the sessions that we have around mixed ability students. So the more advanced students have no issue following instructions. What should we do with less proficient students? I don't know. Have you got kind of strategies for working with mixed ability students?
Well, I mean, I tend to feel that the thing that part of it comes also from our language, actually, and our classroom management, that as soon as we have those ones that we know have a slightly different language level or developmental stage, we already are like only focusing on their answer, and we think, oh, they're going to answer really quickly, they're going to understand. And so we almost, we adjust as though we were teaching only to them. Whereas my feeling is often you should very much the same steps, whether they are native speakers in class or, you know, English native speakers or not, you follow the same steps. Absolutely, in terms of your instructions, in terms of your language. And those ones who are shouting out the answer first each time, just go, oh, maybe, could be. What does everyone else think? Whereas teachers tend to jump in and affirm to the ones who are the strongest. And that shuts the conversation down. So I tend to go, oh, maybe, could be, might be, and keep it the same, really, as you would. I think in terms of supporting for different activities, there's lots of strategies to help with like reading, writing, and so on for different levels, which are a bit beyond our scope at this point. But,
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm just having a look. The questions from Daniela: problems with classroom management sometimes. Says her boss says to be more restrictive with students, but it's not really her personality. Can you think of any strategies to deal with that?
Yes, I mean, I feel you, because I'm the same. I'm not particularly strict, actually, but I think if you keep pace and you really give your learners lots of voice and choice in class as well. So that includes by giving them lots of language, actually, through your language, it gives them much more voice. And then lots of the behavioral problems don't exist, actually. You know, I feel a lot of it behavior-wise comes out of frustration of not being able to articulate what you want to say, not really understanding what's going on. So I think if we really check ourselves first, with good strategies, with good language, a lot of that goes, for me, falls by the wayside. And to be honest, I mean, I think in terms of differentiated behavior approaches needs to be much more of a thing in class. We talk about it in terms of activities, but I think that there also needs to be a better understanding of differentiated behavior approaches, actually. I have some learners who do need to be upside down in the bin for a while or to do a cartwheel. That happens, and that's okay.
Upside down in the bin.
That's happened,
one of your
yeah.
classes. Yes.
Or have eaten the materials that you spent 4 hours lovingly making, and you turn around and they're eating it. Oh,
okay, nice. So well, not really related to them eating materials that you presented, but the majority of your work at the moment is with primary learners. Yeah,
primary, yes. I mean, I do pre-primary, primary, and lower secondary is the sort of my main peeps.
Okay.
Because I feel there's often a gap between that understanding between the lower secondary and the upper primary. There is very little understanding between the two often, actually, of what it means, that transition for learners, actually. And there's very little communication between the two teachers, actually. So I find that an area quite interesting as well, you know, and important of that transitional part.
Okay. I mean, I suppose I'm sort of thinking, because there was a question here about something sort of unrelated, but it made me think about with online teaching and kind of that sort of teaching language. When we were working, when we were all working in times of COVID, and it was all very much online. How did the kind of the way the things that you've been talking about this, did you adapt? How did you have to adapt them for online teaching? I'm just thinking, because some people probably still are, or some people do teach online still. So I'm just sort of wondering what the implications of that are.
Well, I think huge, actually, on one level, especially in the lower primary years, you know, huge. And I felt quite, I don't know, I felt it was a little unfair for us that we were asked, and for the kids, actually, to have that same possibility online for that same amount of time. I mean, my advice is usually to chunk it down where possible to shorter periods of time, twice, instead of one 40-minute session or something. And then you do one aspect, actually, of something like presenting language in the same way as I showed, you know, with you can do that, you can make those things online as well, actually. And I think the sort of, and the singing and that, all of that you can do online as well. But I think it's incredibly challenging to have that level of attention for the amount of time that often one is asked to do. If I were in charge of the universe or beyond, I would say that those lessons shouldn't be more than 15 to 20 minute max. So you have actually a burst where you can do one activity type, and then you have a break, and then you come back to it, and then you do a different aspect of your class. Because I think otherwise often it's, I mean, I'm sure we've all had it where, you know, people are like rolling around on the rolly chairs or upside down in their chair, or and there's nothing you can do about it because you're miles away online.
Yeah, no, exactly. Very frustrating, I think.
Yeah.
Just interested, actually, how many people in this webinar teach online? Just kind of put in the chat if you teach online still. Okay, we'll do.
Yes,
I think there's sort of, okay. I think there's that assumption now that COVID is kind of over, that everyone's just back there and face to face, but actually a lot of people do still teach online. And those of you who do, is it primary or secondary? Sorry, Katie, I know this is quick Q&A, but I'm just quite interested.
Yes, go for it. No, it's interesting. Okay, adults. Yeah, adults.
Okay, secondary.
Some secondary.
All right. Okay, interesting. All right. So I think, let me have a look at the other questions. We've pretty much run out of time. Is there one more that we can see? How you can get songs. I think we kind of answered that one. Mixed ability students did that one. Someone saying, how short is this great session? Mohammed, I know time flies, doesn't it?
Sorry, I have a tendency of being a little bit fast.
No, it was great.
I get excited.
No, it's really, really good. And there's a lot to get through. I mean, I kind of, you know, that whole, I don't know, teach a language. It's one of those things that you sort of go, okay, at the beginning of your training course, over, oh, okay, yeah, teach a language. But I don't know, actually really thinking about it is yeah, I mean, it's a massive thing for all the reasons you kind of talked about. So no, really, really, really interesting. Thank you. But we have sort of run out of time. Just for those of you who are asking questions about certificates and stuff, you will get an email a bit later today. And that will have all the links to the certificates, to the recordings, to the handouts, etc., etc. So don't worry about that. And someone asking about when will be the next webinar, and that will be on the 20th of June. And we have a series of 4 sessions on the 20th of June. If you go to the Teaching English website, then you can find out more information about that. Okay, I'm going to